Studio Think Big, Trust Yourself, and Make It Happen. There are two kinds of people in this world: those who react to life and those who shape it. The ones who shape it all begin with one powerful decision. They dare to think bigger than their circumstances. They refuse to live confined by fear, doubt, or the limits others have accepted as truth. They recognize that destiny bends in the hands of those bold enough to imagine more. But here's the truth. Thinking big is only the beginning. It's the spark, but not the fire. To transform a dream into a result, you must trust the one person who will walk with you every step of the way. Yourself. See, a definite purpose creates definite results. You cannot build greatness on vague ambition. You must know with piercing clarity what you want, not what sounds good, not what others expect. What you want, with obsession, with purpose, and with commitment. Without a definite aim, your energy is scattered. Your will is unfocused. But when you lock onto a burning desire, life begins to yield. Obstacles shrink. Opportunities appear. The universe steps aside for the man or woman who knows exactly where they are going. Fire self-belief is the foundation of all achievement. Every achievement begins not with applause, not with approval, but with inner belief. The moment you begin to trust yourself, your entire world begins to shift. You walk different, you speak different, you command more, because belief is magnetic. It draws in the support, the timing, the chance, and the strength. And yet belief must be earned. It comes from discipline, from action, from keeping promises to yourself when no one's watching, when others doubt you, and they will. You must stand firm in the one voice that matters, your own. The moment you stop needing permission is the moment you start taking power. Direct hit vision must be greater than fear. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is proof that your dream is large enough to change you, but it must not control you. If your vision isn't strong enough to silence your fear, it's not strong enough to build your future. A powerful vision gives you something bigger to chase than the voices that say you can't. It becomes your compass when the path disappears. It makes the pain worth it. It gives meaning to every sacrifice, every lonely night, every setback. Let your vision roar louder than your fear, and fear will fall silent in its shadow. Brain imagination is the blueprint of destiny. The mind is where the future is born. Everything that exists today once lived only in someone's imagination. Yours is no different. If you can see it, you can begin to believe it. If you can believe it, you can begin to build it. But imagination without action is fantasy. And action without imagination is loba without a soul. You must dream vividly and then move decisively. Your imagination is the blueprint. Your faith is the cement. Your action is the hammer. Hammer action is the bridge between dream and reality. The dream means nothing without movement. Wishing is easy. Talking is comfort. But nothing is built without bold, consistent, focused action. Start before you're ready. Act while others wait. Execute while others watch. Each step forward creates momentum, and momentum creates results. No one has ever achieved greatness by thinking alone. It is action, disciplined, repeated, purposeful, that separates the dreamers from the doers. Cross persistence is proof of faith. The world does not test you at the start. It tests you in the middle. When it's hard, when you're tired, when the voice of doubt grows loud. And it is in those moments that persistence becomes the purest form of belief. To persist is to say, I trust my vision even when I cannot yet see it. To persist is to continue after the applause stops, after the results delay, after everyone else moves on. Most people give up right before the finish line, not because they couldn't win, but because they stopped believing. Do not stop. Do not fold. Do not turn back. The one who trusts himself the longest wins. Checkered flag in closing, so think big and make no apology for it. Trust yourself and silence every voice of doubt. Take bold action again and again and again and again. And when the path grows hard, persist, because the dream you hold isn't random. It was given to you for one reason, to bring it to life. Now go make it happen. Microphone motivational speech. Think big, trust yourself, and make it happen. There is a force that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. It is not luck. It is not chance. It is the boldness to think bigger than your circumstances. The average mind seeks safety. It calculates the risk and settles for less. But the mind that wins, the mind that shapes empires, builds legacies, and bends the world to its will, is the one that dares to dream beyond logic, beyond fear, beyond limits. You must see yourself not as you are, but as you could be. The moment you allow yourself to imagine without restraint is the moment you begin to create the future you desire. But dreaming is not enough. You must trust yourself deeply, fiercely, deeply, fiercely. When the world doubts you, and it will, your belief must remain unshaken. Because if you don't trust yourself, no one else will. Your inner conviction must roar louder than external opinions. You were not born to shrink. You were not born to play small. You were born to move mountains, break cycles, and lead with vision. Every success story begins the same way. Someone thought differently. Someone believed when others laughed. And someone acted with relentless focus. Make it happen. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the conditions are perfect. Now, because boldness has a power of its own. When you commit to a vision and walk toward it, doors open, people appear, and life begins to align in your favor. So think big, trust yourself, and make it happen. The world is waiting to see what only you can bring. To think big, you must first know exactly what you want. This is not a vague wish or a fleeting desire. It is a definite purpose, a clear, unwavering aim that anchors your every thought and action. Without a definite purpose, the mind drifts. It wanders through ideas and dreams without ever attaching itself to one concrete outcome. But when a person identifies, defines, and commits to a specific goal, something remarkable begins to happen. Life begins to respond with direction, momentum, and clarity. A definite purpose acts like a compass in the fog. It doesn't guarantee that the journey will be easy, but it ensures that you will not be lost. The world is filled with people who have talent, intelligence, even ambition, but very few have direction. And in the absence of direction, even the greatest potential goes to waste. You cannot hit a target you do not see. You cannot build a life of meaning if you don't define what that meaning is. To think big is to first think with precision. What do you want? What do you want? And what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? This definite purpose must burn in your heart. It must not be a casual idea you entertain in quiet moments. It must become the reason you wake up, the standard by which you judge your choices, and the vision that pulls you forward when everything else feels heavy. It is not enough to hope. You must decide. Decide who you want to become. Decide what impact you want to make. Decide what legacy you want to leave behind. And once you decide, do not retreat. Do not shrink your goal to fit your fear. Expand your courage to fit your vision. Most people think small not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack clarity. They have never sat down in solitude to define their deepest desire. They move through life responding to circumstances, adapting to the opinions of others, and adjusting to conditions, but never commanding life to move in the direction of their choosing. A definite purpose shifts that. It puts you back in the driver's seat. It gives your energy somewhere to go. It forces your subconscious mind to begin seeking answers, patterns, opportunities, and ideas that align with your vision. What was once invisible begins to appear. When you operate with a definite purpose, you develop a natural sense of urgency. Wasted time begins to irritate. Idle distractions lose their appeal. You become more selective with your energy, more intentional with your focus, and more disciplined in your efforts. You stop chasing what is popular and start pursuing what is personal. You stop measuring your success against the lives of others and begin building a life that matches your unique calling. The power of a definite purpose lies not just in setting a goal, but in setting your entire being toward that goal. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions all begin to align. That alignment is where real power is born. A scattered energy can never build an empire. Only focused energy, driven by purpose, has the force to transform ideas into reality. Think of the greatest leaders, innovators, creators, and builders. What did they all have in common? They knew exactly what they wanted. They had a definite purpose that pulled them through rejection, failure, delay, and opposition. They were not sidetracked by critics or setbacks because their vision was more real to them than the obstacles in front of them. That is the power of clarity. When you know where you're going, temporary defeat is not discouraging. It is simply feedback. Clarity leads to confidence. When you are clear on what you desire, you walk differently, you speak differently, you present yourself differently. People sense your conviction. They trust your direction. The world steps aside for the person who knows where they are going. But it resists the person who hesitates, who second guesses, who sends mixed signals to the universe. You must be relentless in your pursuit of purpose. This is not a one-time decision. It is a daily recommitment. The world is loud, and it will constantly try to distract you, pull you in different directions, and dilute your vision. Every day you must return to your purpose. Remind yourself when you started. Review your progress. Reconnect to the fire that made you think big in the first place. But your purpose cannot be driven by envy, greed, or comparison. It must come from your own soul. It must be something that excites you, challenges you, and elevates you. It must be rooted in your values and aligned with your potential. When you think big from that place, your vision becomes unstoppable. It becomes magnetic. People begin to support you. Circumstances begin to shift. Your efforts begin to compound. You begin to feel momentum. That momentum is the reward of alignment. There is no power in thinking small. Small thinking is a defense mechanism. It protects the ego from failure, but it also prevents achievement. You were not born to survive. You were born to create. You were not born to merely exist. You were born to expand. But expansion only comes when you aim higher than your comfort zone. When your purpose stretches you. When it calls you to become more than you are. That kind of purpose scares you, but it also awakens you. When you commit to a definite purpose, you begin to develop the traits that are required to fulfill it. You become more courageous because your vision demands it. Aim demands it. You become more disciplined because your mission requires it. You become more focused because your time becomes valuable. You evolve, you grow, you rise. Not because someone gave you permission, but because your purpose gave you no other option. You do not wait for motivation. You create momentum. You don't wait for belief. You cultivate it. You do not wait for opportunity. You build it one intentional act at a time. The person who knows their purpose does not wait for the right mood or the perfect timing. They move forward even in fear, even in doubt, even in uncertainty, because their destination is clear. Without a definite purpose, even hard work can be meaningless. Activity is not the same as achievement. You can be busy and broke. You can be exhausted and unfulfilled. But when your effort is guided by a definite aim, every task gains meaning. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes preparation. The journey itself becomes valuable, not just the result. So define your purpose. Hold it with clarity, fuel it with belief, guard it with discipline, and act on it with intensity. Absolutely. Here's the next speech section written in the same Napoleon Hill-inspired style, without mentioning his name, expanding on the key point. Studio self-belief is the foundation of all achievement. There is no force more powerful than a mind that believes in itself. Every achievement begins as an internal conviction, a quiet, unwavering certainty that says, I will succeed even if no one else sees it yet. You must learn to trust your inner voice more than the noise of the world, because the world is noisy, filled with opinions, doubts, distractions, and fear disguised as advice. If you allow those voices to drown out your own, you'll begin to shrink. You'll question your potential. You'll hesitate when you should act. And hesitation is the death of greatness. The most dangerous enemy you will ever face is self-doubt. Not failure, not criticism, not even defeat. Self-doubt is the thief of destiny. It whispers that you're not enough. It disguises its logic. It tells you to wait, to play it safe, to stay within the lines. But self-belief, that unshakable trust in your own capacity, is the fire that burns through limitation. You were born with potential. That is a fact. But potential is not enough. The world is filled with people who had potential but lacked belief. And so they watched their dreams pass by like strangers in a crowd. Don't let that be your story. You must be the first person to believe in you, especially when no one else does. Why? Because belief is a magnet. It attracts the resources, the people, the opportunities necessary to move forward. When you believe in your vision, you radiate certainty, and certainty is rare. People follow it, people invest in it, life rewards it. But this belief cannot be borrowed. It cannot be faked. It must be built day by day through small victories, acts of courage, and consistent discipline. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you add a brick to the foundation. Each time you rise after a failure, your belief deepens. It's not about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down because you trust the voice inside you more than the voices outside you. Others will doubt you. That's their habit. But if you begin to doubt yourself, you've already lost. So speak life to your dreams. Feed your faith, not your fear. And when the crowd says you can't, Look them in the eye and say, oh, watch me. Self-belief is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's knowing that your life is too valuable to waste on self-sabotage. It's understanding that the seed of greatness already lives in you, and your job is to protect it, water it, and let it grow. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You need conviction. So walk like it. Speak like it. Live like it. Because when you believe in yourself, nothing outside you can stop what's inside you. Would you like me to continue with the next point? Vision must be greater than fear. Absolutely. Here's the next part of the speech in that same bold, Napoleon Hill-inspired tone. Focused on the principle, direct hit vision must be greater than fear. Fear is a natural emotion, but it was never meant to be the master. Fear was designed to protect you, not to control you. And yet that's exactly what it does to most people. It paralyzes, it distracts, it convinces the mind that safety is success. But understand this, no one ever created greatness while standing in the shadows of fear. If your vision does not overpower your fear, you will surrender your future to comfort. A bold vision changes everything. It gives the mind something bigger to chase, something so powerful, so meaningful, so alive, that fear begins to lose its grip. When your why is strong enough, the audience lose their power. The reason most people stay stuck isn't lack of skill. It's not even a lack of opportunity. It's a lack of vision. They don't see beyond the current struggle. They don't imagine what life could be if they broke through the wall in front of them, so they remain where it's safe. And they wonder why nothing changes. But those who succeed, the true creators of history, they saw something no one else could see. They lived from the inside out. Their vision gave them direction when others were lost. Their vision gave them courage when others backed down. It was the clarity of their dream that made the chaos around them irrelevant. Fear will always speak first. It will always show up loud, aggressive, and persuasive. But if your vision is clear enough, you won't be swayed. You'll look fear in the face and say, you may walk beside me, but you will not lead me. And understand this, fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to step forward. It is evidence that you're standing at the edge of expansion. Your fear is not the enemy. Your surrender to fear is. The moment you give in to it, you shrink. But when you act in spite of it, you grow. Vision is your weapon. Vision is your compass. Vision is your shield against every excuse, every delay, every limitation. You don't need everything figured out. You need a clear direction, because once the mind locks onto a meaningful vision, the body finds a way, the soul finds strength, and fear begins to fade. So expand the dream. Make it bigger than the obstacle. Make it brighter than the doubt. And move toward it with everything you've got. Let your vision scream louder than your fear. And then watch the impossible become inevitable. Would you like me to continue with the fourth key point next? Imagination is the blueprint of destiny. Absolutely. Here's the next part of the speech, continuing in the same powerful Napoleon Hill-inspired tone. Brain imagination is the blueprint of destiny, all great achievements. Every empire built, every invention born, every breakthrough in history was once a wild, unreasonable dream in someone's mind. The human mind is the most powerful creative instrument on earth, but most people use it only to remember, not to imagine. They replay their past instead of designing their future. They stay trapped in memory when they were born to live in vision. Understand this. Imagination is not fantasy. It's creation in its earliest form. It is the place where possibility is born. Everything you want to achieve, every life you want to live already exists in your imagination. Your job is to see it so clearly, so vividly, so intensely, that the world has no choice but to catch up. The blueprint of destiny is not drawn by circumstance. It is drawn by the dreamer who refuses to accept limitation. It is drafted in silence and solitude when the noise of the world dies down and the soul begins to speak. And what it speaks is vision. The greatest tragedy is not aiming too high and missing. It's aiming too low and hitting. Why? Because most people do not imagine beyond what they believe is realistic. But realism is often just fear dressed up in logic. The ones who change the world are not a realist. They are imaginative thinkers with relentless execution. You must train yourself to live in the future before it exists. Walk through the mansion in your mind before you own the land. Speak to the audience in your mind before they know your name. Build the business in your thoughts before the first brick is laid. See it, see it, see it, feel it, believe it. But imagination must not remain daydreaming. It must be captured and transformed. How? Through decision and discipline, your mind creates the vision. Your actions bring it to life. Together, they forge destiny. Do not be afraid of thinking too big. Be afraid of living too small. Do not shrink your imagination to fit your reality. Expand your reality to match your imagination. Because what you vividly imagine and deeply believe and act upon with persistence must become your reality. So imagine boldly. Imagine without apology. And then make it real. Would you like me to continue with the fifth key point next? Action is the bridge between dream and reality. Absolutely. Here is the next powerful section of the speech, written in a bold, authoritative style, inspired by Napoleon Hill without naming him, focused on the key idea. Hammer action is the bridge between dream and reality. Thinking big is essential, but thinking alone changes nothing. A dream, no matter how grand, is powerless without motion. Action is the bridge between what you see in your mind and what you hold in your hand. You can have the clearest vision, the boldest goals, the deepest belief. But if you do not act, you remain exactly where you are. Success does not respond to intentions. It responds to action. Massive, deliberate, persistent action. Ideas are easy. Execution is rare, and that's why execution wins. The ones who rise to the top are not the most gifted. They are the most disciplined. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for approval. They don't wait for the stars to align. They move. They make calls. They knock on doors. They fail, adjust, and keep moving. Because they understand that motion beats meditation. Action builds belief. Each step forward silences doubt. Each completed task strengthens resolve. Each small win becomes momentum. And what stops most people isn't lack of vision. It's hesitation. Kills more dreams than failure ever could. Because failure teaches, but hesitation steals time. Hesitation steals time. And time, once gone, does not return. The dreamers who make it real are those who take relentless daily action even when they're tired. Even when they're scared, even when no one claps. The world does not reward what you know. It rewards what you do. So ask yourself, what action can I take today that moves me one step closer? What can I execute now that brings the dream out of my mind and into the world? You will never outthink the need to act. At some point, every great journey begins with a decision. Will no longer just imagine it. I will pursue. And when that decision is backed by consistent action, you become unstoppable. So think big, plan smart, but above all, act boldly, because the only dream that matters is the one you make real. Would you like me to continue with the final key point? Fire persistence is proof of faith. Trusting yourself means continuing, even when others stop believing. Anyone can start. Anyone can dream for a day. Anyone can get excited when it's easy, but it is not the beginning that defines you. It is the ability to keep going when the world goes silent. Persistence is the real test of belief. It's not the words you speak that reveal your faith. It's your actions in the dark. When the applause fades, when the doors close, when the results delay, will you still move forward? Most people stop because they confuse delay with denial. But the universe doesn't reject your dream. It tests your desire for it. It asks, do you want it bad enough to fight for it when no one watches? Do you believe in it enough to get up after every... Do you trust yourself enough to walk alone if that's what it takes? Those who persist are not always the most talented. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit. They saw rejection and kept knocking. They felt fear and kept walking. They faced failure, kept rising, kept rising. Persistence is the daily vote you cast for your future. You don't need the world's belief. You don't need instant results. You don't even need perfect conditions. What you need is a mind that says, I will not stop. I will not fall. I will not let this dream die in my hands. That's what real faith looks like. Not empty confidence, but unbreakable commitments. The kind that outlasts obstacles. The kind that walks through storms. The kind that says, even if no one else believes in me, I still do. Because if you trust yourself, truly, you don't quit when it's hard. You don't settle when it's slow. You persist because you already know how the story ends, and it ends in victory.